Talkabout guide, Oxford Circus to Piccadilly. Here's the crossover of Oxford Street and Regent Street. It's known as Oxford Circus. This area, designed by John Nash in the early 19th century. The tube, or underground, goes under here. Recently all fences and barriers have been removed so people can cross in any direction. Have a look at this film.
Where are you? Up that street. It's got to be down here.
Probably a road has been here for 1,000 years or more. Oxford Street is packed with good shops. It's #1 shopping street in London and the UK. Here are people crossing over diagonally. Okay, this guy with the rather broken bow and arrow is Eros. That's at Piccadilly. In Piccadilly Circus, this statue was considered rather racy. But anyway, let's start on the east lower side of Oxford Circus and walk to the first street on the right, which is Argyle Street. Okay, there's the map I'm going to use. I'm going to come down here, go along here, go down here to here. Then I'm going to go back along there, down here, along to Regent Street, down to Piccadilly, and then down on towards Buckingham Palace. But let's go back and start there. The London Palladium, perhaps the most famous and biggest of London theatres, with 2,286 seats. Failing as an ice rink, even with real ice, it opened as a music hall in 1910, then later as a theatre. Now success came with great American stars, including Judy Garland, Sophie Tucker, Bing Crosby, etc. Then Cliff Richard, Tommy Steele, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, and many, many more. Elvis Presley was invited for 14 performances, but the money wasn't right, said his manager. Recently, big shows have been popular. The Sound of Music, Oliver, Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Sister Act has been filled with great stars like Whoopi Goldberg. Now if Sister Act has finished, don't worry, there'll be another great musical at the Palladium. So you've walked on down past the Palladium to this wonderful mock Tudor building. It's Liberty, a premier store begun in Regent Street in 1874 by Arthur Liberty with a loan of £2,000 from his future father-in-law. Now in Great Marlborough Street was this mock Tudor branch, built using timbers from the HMS Impregnable, HMS being Her Majesty's ship, Hindustani, which was at that time the longest ship in the British Navy. Now if you look on the top of the building, you'll see a ship, another naval connection, this time of the Mayflower, the ship that took the Pilgrims to America. Liberty have always sold quality and Art Nouveau items. This store is an amazing place and well worth a visit even if you don't buy anything. Okay, I want you to walk along Great Marlborough Street and then down Poland Street and then to Broadwick Street. In the middle of Broadwick Street, known as Broad Street in the 18th and 19th century, is this, a replica of the pump that used to stand in front of the John Snow pub. There's a pink granite stone marking the spot. Now, Dr. Snow discovered the cause of the spread of cholera. He'd studied cholera epidemics in London area of Southwark and Wandsworth in 1848 and believed that it was transmitted through water. People laughed at this, but when he removed the pump handle, making it ineffective, the epidemic ended. Looks to me as if somebody has recently removed the pump handle. Now let's walk back along Poland Street and to Liberty's in Great Marlborough Street. Incidentally, in the game of Monopoly, Great Marlborough Street is called Marlborough Street. This, before we go, is the John Snow pub. Alright. Now we walk back to the mock Tudor building again. At the right end of Liberty's, there are two things of interest. The first is the carved coat of arms of the Queen. The second is this rather strange clock, St. George and the Dragon. On the hour, the striking of the hour, St. George comes out and chases the dragon. As a child, we would stand there and watch this on the hour. I don't know that as a child we ever took notice of the motto underneath here, which said, "No minute gone comes ever back again. Take heed and see ye nothing do in vain." Right, so there's the mock Tudor building. At the end, the left end is Newburgh Street, and from there, Great Marlborough Street. So, if you walk down Newburgh Street, from Great Marlborough Street, you come to the street made famous by John Stephen and his way-out clothes, Carnaby Street. It was John who blew up the cobwebs of clothes and designed and ushered in modern, perhaps zany wear too. Other designers moved in, Marion Fold, Sally Tuffin. With designer shops moving in and pop stars playing nearby at the Marquee Club, the street seemed to personify the swinging 60s. Now it continues to market all manner of modern clothes and has bars and restaurants and places of interest to the tourist. It's pedestrianised from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Shakespeare's pub. Alright, before Carnaby Street is Shakespeare's Head pub. Look at this bust here. This pub, the Shakespeare's Head, built originally in 1735, but I guess updated, was owned by Thomas and John Shakespeare, distant relatives of William Shakespeare, the world's greatest English writer. The left hand of the Shakespeare bust on the outside overlooking the street was knocked off by a piece of shrapnel, that's metal from a bomb, during the Blitz in 1941. Alright, we walked on down to Piccadilly Circus. Here's Piccadilly in front of you, a meeting place for lots of people. You can see them sitting on the steps of the statue. So we've walked down Regent Street. This is Eros. Remember I said the racy statue? Well, I suspect that that's the reason. Regent Street has always been a quality street. And now with a huge Apple store it's continued this tradition. You, and perhaps you and your children, will enjoy Hamleys, the store boasting to be one of the world's largest toy shops, with 7 floors of toys for all ages. Walk down past Austin Reed's Superior Tailor and on to Piccadilly Circus. This circus is famous not only for its Eros statue, but for its video and neon sign displays. At one time, this was one of the world's first to have this kind of displays. Now, countries all over the world have them, and so it's not so spectacular. In the war, Eros was removed, but returned in 1948. But the whole thing has moved a number of times to allow faster flow of traffic. Recently, as with Oxford Circus, barriers were removed for easier access. Now we're heading down from Piccadilly Circus, down this road here. When you look at this is the memorial to the Crimean War. This is the war that we lost, basically, and the Russians won. But we lost a lot of men there. 2,152. There's a statue of Florence Nightingale in front of the memorial. This lady with the lamp is the woman who did so much to help injured soldiers live despite their injury. A statue of Sidney Herbert, Minister for War during the Crimean, is also here. So there's Sidney Herbert, but this is Florence Nightingale with her lamp. An elaborate building. This is a club, a gentleman's club. This is the Athenaeum. There are numerous clubs. The Athenaeum Club is a notable London club with its clubhouse located at Pall Mall, on the corner of Waterloo Place. It's noted for a large library, a bas-relief. It has ministers, senior civil servants, peers, and that's lords and ladies, senior bishops among its many members. The club's facilities include a dining room, I'm not sure about a smoking room, a suite of bedrooms. The club also has this rather fancy clock. Now if you look at it, it has no figure 8. I suppose no one knows why, but perhaps so that you can tell your wife, your partner, you left the club at 7 o'clock and the traffic was awful, that's why you're so late. Even if you really left at 8. Down on past Lower Regent Street and you come to this memorial for Prince Frederick, Commander-in-Chief of the Army during the French Revolutionary Wars. He was known as the Grand Old Duke of York, who had 10,000 men. He marched them up to the top of the hill, then he marched them down again, as the children's verse goes. To pay for this memorial, the British Army deducted 1 day's pay from every soldier. Whew, I bet they were pleased. It's made of pink granite. Inside there are stairs going right to the top, but they're not used anymore. But before you go past the Duke's column, you get to a set of steps of another Duke. The Duke of Wellington's mounting steps were placed there so that he, when visiting his club, the Athenaeum, could get on and off his horse without any problems. They've been there for 180 years. King Edward VII. The horse has 1 leg off the ground. A secret of statues in London is, if the horse has 4 legs on the ground, 4 feet on the ground, or on the plinth, the rider died at home, or if the horse has 1 foot off the ground, then the rider was injured in battle, but died afterwards. If the horse has 2 feet off the ground, then the rider died in battle. The statue is of King Edward VII, son of Queen Victoria, King of the United Kingdom, Emperor of India, King of the Commonwealth, known as Peacemaker. But if you read the signs, then he died after a battle. There are many more statues in this place, and you should take time to see these too. Down the steps behind the Duke of York's column is the Mall. Now the Mall is the main road leading to Buckingham Palace, official residence of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. It's up and down this road that all processions go before getting to, perhaps, Horse Guards Parade for a ceremony such as the Trooping of the Colour. But if you were a head of state, you'd come down here and the Mall would be decorated for your visit. There's Buckingham Palace in the background, with all the flags decorating it for the attendance of some head of state. Well, that was a walk from Oxford Circus down to Piccadilly and Buckingham Palace. Thank you for watching. I'll leave you with perhaps the most spectacular monument on our trip, Eros at Piccadilly.